Welcome to the Nickel and Dimes podcast, formerly known as the Film Bums podcast. My name is Jack.
And I'm Zach.
And on this podcast, we're going to be breaking down the latest in movie news, have some reviews, as well as be going over sports and some current events, real-life stuff, going over it all.
We're also going to be discussing our short film productions, give a little behind the scenes, and talk about future ideas that we're working on. That way, if you guys listen and enjoy, you can give us some feedback on what you like, what you don't like, and where we should take productions.
And with that, let's get into it. So, Tenet, new movie directed by Christopher Nolan, was originally supposed to come out in July, back when the world was normal. It, like every other movie, got pushed, canceled. Most movies got pushed to next year or a VOD release, but not Christopher Nolan's Tenet. He was insistent that it was going to be the movie that reopened and kind of saved movie theaters, and now it's finally here, but it's really staggered how it's been released.
Yeah, it's not out in all the theaters, so we're here in Portland, Oregon, and we have to drive about an hour away to the nearest open theater to see it, so it's a real commitment to see this.
It just happened this past weekend for us. It's
yeah.
been out. Other countries got it a couple weeks ago. It started to come out because they were better at COVID than us. But here this weekend is when it got its release around, not in cities that are struggling still, but
more
in
rural
areas. Theaters are opening, so we were able to see Tenet. It got released in 2,800 theaters in North America this weekend. Usually, a movie like this, you'd see over 4,000. It's like 4,200. It's like the normal.
Wow.
A little over half, but then it brought in $20.2 million, which, if you're going to look at like a normal Christopher Nolan movie open the box office, like you're looking for like over 50.
Yeah, and I mean, it had a budget of $200 million.
Yeah. So, but I mean, they weren't expecting probably to make what they normally would.
Yeah.
They would want to get something out of this. But I mean, it's worth saying is like,
from
their perspective, was this worth it?
Well, what about worldwide? How much did it make?
Worldwide, it's made $146 million. Overall,
okay. So, it's not a complete flop.
They're going to make their money back, but I don't know. We'll see how, if we don't get like a bunch of stories about COVID flare-ups and hotspots that get traced back to theaters, like there's a doomsday scenario where that happens, and it's like movies are done for now.
Yeah.
But if that doesn't happen, I mean, I think we went... I'd say it was really safe.
Yeah,
I felt very safe because there's nobody. I mean, it depends, I guess, but there's nobody in the lobby when we were there.
Mm-hmm.
The theater, they were really spaced out how you were sitting. There was somebody in our row, but at the far end, so we never were within more than like 20 feet of them.
Yeah, I mean, not only were the seats spaced out, but also it was just the theater had recliner seats with so there was a huge gap between, and it was already limited capacity, so it just made it perfect.
And yeah, everyone just keeps their mask on the whole time
once
they're eating. I'd say if you can go and you want to go see Tenet and you're in a safe enough area, I'd say it's not as big of a risk as you might have thought.
Yeah. And
maybe you can check, like, the show times might get busy at some of them if you're smaller theaters, less screenings, but if it's less than 10 people, I think it's spread out enough.
Especially if you're going to a big chain theater, when you can buy your tickets on the app, you can see exactly where people are sitting and sit away from them.
But that being said, how actually is Tenet? Is it worth potentially risking your life for?
I really like Tenet. I thought it was great, and the conversations that I've had after Tenet are worth more to me than
the movie. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I like Tenet a lot. It's so good.
Not seeing a movie since March in the theater, The Way Back and Onward, double featured those the last time I've seen movies in the theater. And this is like the movie. This is why Christopher Nolan wanted this to return, because this is like fully taking advantage of the theatrical experience. The sound is insane. The loudest movie I've ever heard.
Yeah, that was wild.
It's visually, of course, it's like beautiful, great cinematography. It's just what you want. It's a big action movie. Of course, it's got lots of layers to it, very smart. But just for like a big spectacle movie, if there's a debate now with movies coming out on streaming, like, is the theatrical experience worth it? I challenge you to go watch Tenet in the theater and then when it's able to watch it on your laptop at home and tell me you don't feel it different, you got something more out of it in the theater, you 100% would.
Yeah, I mean, Christopher Nolan is one of those people who makes the movies for cinema to be watched in a theater. It's not you see a lot of directors and such that are gearing their films towards streaming and television in that way, whereas this is definitely a film to be watched in a theater experience.
Yeah, this is for theaters, and I think just from an entertainment value, I don't think I could have been more satisfied with Tenet. Because like you said, it's just visually watching it's there, and then afterwards talking about it.
It's
just
confusing.
So much to dive into.
It's really confusing, and you have to sit there and think about it, and you'll question
the mechanics.
The movie
passively.
Yeah, no, you have to pay attention to every
A couple
moment.
times I caught myself napping. I missed some key things.
Are you serious?
Some real
How could
important
you sleep?
stuff. Like, I wasn't actually napping, but mentally. I was like, I'm not 100% thinking about the movie, and then I'd be like, oh, what happened? What the fuck? So you really got to lock into it. Performances, John David Washington plays the protagonist. It's just his character's name.
Mm-hmm.
He liked him a lot in Black Klansman a couple years ago.
Yeah, great movie.
He's really good in this. Robert Pattinson in it as well. Elizabeth Debicki, she's 6'3", and they don't hide it in the movie. She looks really tall.
Yeah, no, they pull it off really well. She's an attractive tall woman.
She's been coming up lately. She's been in a few movies. Man from U.N.C.L.E. It's the only one I can remember, but she's pretty talented. The whole cast is good. Michael Caine is in there for a few seconds.
Yep, credited.
Kenneth Branagh plays the villain. He really goes for it on the accents in this movie. On top of the score and like the sounds, the action being loud, it makes it really hard when you're adding on top of that. Everybody's going for it with their accents a little bit.
Oh yeah, that movie needs subtitles for sure.
Yeah,
that was the one thing that you don't
watching
have.
At home would be nice.
You could understand.
As far as some stuff, not fully, because there's a lot to talk about the movie in terms of how it works, like just what is actually happening in the movie and the science behind all of it. But I think if we were to not talk about that and talk about what were the characters like, what was their journey, who did you attach to, what did you feel anything?
I think they have enough emotional punch with Robert Pattinson's character and John.
Yeah, but spoilers. They do have an emotional payoff for him, but it's undercut by the fact that
you're still trying to figure out what's going on.
It's also a reveal as well as an emotional payoff. So in that moment, I was just going like backwards. I was like, whoa, so that means this, and this. And meanwhile, you're supposed to be like, yeah, feeling this departure from these characters. But I felt it like 5 minutes later. I was like, oh, shit.
I was able to follow along, so I felt that, but...
But like, did you cry? Did you feel? Like,
no.
Were you actually like, wow? These characters. What are their names?
If we're going into,
what was Robert Pattinson's character's name?
Yeah, that's fair. And if you're going by if we're gonna spoil it, his relationship isn't even seen on screen. He's like, we've been friends forever, but you don't actually see the friendship. You're just supposed to take them on.
Take their word for it, kind of.
Oh, that's sad.
But that's people's problems with Nolan in general. His movies, they say he doesn't just get human emotion. Basically, he's a robot. Because like the technical stuff is perfect.
Yeah.
When you go to like what his movies are about, or like the emotional core, they kind of break down. It's like Interstellar. The whole science of the black hole that he worked so hard to show that it was real and he did research on. It all just comes down to the love between a father and daughter.
Yeah, that was.
Like, it's like all this intricate, really interesting stuff you talk about. But at the end of the day, like the point of the movie is like something very simple.
But I would argue that Tenet's not trying to push very hard that relationship. Like, it's just getting into the mechanics of like the inverted and how this would work, and it's like
And I guess
it's
for
such
that,
a cool concept about.
If you're super interested in that, then you'll probably really like the movie. But if
you're looking for a love story, it's not there. There's no.
If you just want pure science fiction, this is the movie for you. Because aside
the action's amazing.
Stuff,
they had so many crazy scenes and the payoffs. So there's a part where they have to revisit a scene and you see him fight someone, and I think most people were able to call that it's going to be.
Yeah, when it's revealed that he's fighting himself.
Yeah, I think most people called that. But the way you see it happen inverted, where he gets sucked into the area and the fight just happens backwards
from you're kind of like, what the fuck? The first time when he leaves, like, how did he?
Yeah.
Where did he go? But then when they reveal how it happened.
Yeah, and it just so seamlessly like cuts through that scene from a different perspective, where you're like, oh my gosh, back to you understand why he was there in the first place and what was even happening. And it's a movie where you have to follow the characters and like where they are in time, because their time travel isn't like, for the amount of time they go forward, they have to spend that much time going backwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in order to go back in time 20 minutes, you have to
wait 20 minutes inverted. Yeah,
and you have to invert 20 minutes. You can't do some endgame shit.
No, yeah. That's my favorite part of it.
Because time travel, it's never going to be, like, actually make sense because it isn't real. But they try their best to really ground it in reality as much as possible.
No, yeah, because with the premise and what you'll find out in the movie is that, like, everything is set in stone and that they're not breaking any time travel rules because it's just what happened. Like, the reason they don't blow up is because they never blew up, because they're supposed to be there. And, like, no matter... Like, they can't change the past at all. The past has never changed.
And that's where it just leads to the point of what's the point of it all? What are we here for? Aside from just to watch how cool and awesome that is that he's able to pull it. It's kind of like how some people... I didn't feel it because I felt the emotional connection, but I've heard this be said about Baby Driver for a lot of people. They're like, the car scenes, like, with the music, like, awesome. Mm-hmm. But the story was so, like, cookie cutter and basic. I didn't give a fuck about the characters. Who cares?
No, I really like Baby Driver.
I don't feel as harsh that way about Tenet, but I can kind of see that perspective where I'm like, technically the action, top notch. I want to study how he did all that, watch breakdown videos, talk about it. As far as, like, what did I get out of the movie, aside from, like, from emotional point of view, and, like, what do I remember the movie being about? Just, like, the mechanics, just the parts, not the soul.
Tenet.
It's just Tenet.
Tenet, you already gave it your score.
I already gave my score, but now let's give our scores for the audience, because they won't see the invert. Yeah. We're going to be going out of 15.
A nickel and a dime.
So, Zach, we'll start with you. What would you give Tenet out of 15?
Out of 15, I would give Tenet 2 nickels and 3 pennies. A total of 13.
Big score. 13 out of 15. For me, I would give Tenet a dime and a penny.
A dime and a penny, all right.
Dime and a penny. I think, again, just couldn't recommend it more than enough if you're dying to see a movie in the theater again and you want, like, the ultimate theater experience. Like, this is it. This is the savior as far as that's concerned. And it might be the only, like, movie worth watching in a theater for a while. Yeah. And it's worth multiple viewings. So if you do want to go back, it's definitely the movie for it. And that's going to do it for our discussion about big budget movies. Now let's talk about small budget movies, specifically that we make.
Yeah. So currently we have one film up on our channel right now.
Yeah, we released The Heist That Got Away, our first short film.
Yeah, and this there's a blooper reel for that.
Blooper reel, we're going to try to just release those along with it, just because, fun, little extra content you get out of all the footage.
But yeah, so we've been working on this project since, when did we storyboard this the first time? June?
Yeah, June.
June, yeah, we've been working on it since June. We have a script ready, and we're actually filming tomorrow.
Yep, filming the next short tomorrow. Won't give too much away. I'll just say it's about a pizza delivery man that gets more than he bargained for on a delivery.
Yeah,
it's a very friendly man.
Exactly, that's a really good way to put it, yeah.
And it's going to be, the last one was about 6 minutes long. This one will probably be about double that.
Yeah, we're shooting for about 15, 12. Hopefully we can get it in that time.
Not going to be like working them up every time, but we're going to just be doing, different lengths, going to be experimenting, different types of stuff we want to do. We've discussed, like, just different types of even short films, like documentaries, infomercials, like stuff like that. Like, we're getting creative out here.
Yeah, we have a lot of projects in the works, and hopefully sometime soon we'll start rolling them out at a more consistent rate, and you guys can follow along. Hopefully stay tuned.
Yeah, hopefully you like them. Feedback gotten more views than we expected on the first one, just for our first one. So
yeah, we were shooting
happy about
for
that.
100
would have been cool.
We made 300, so we're riding high right now.
Yeah, we're feeling the waves, ready to crash and burn on the next one.
Yeah. Please don't let it flop. All right, Jack, tell me about sports.
All right, let's get into the world of sports. Last night in the NBA, we had Game 2 of the Lakers versus the Rockets. Lakers reeling from a Game 1 defeat. People saying they suck again, like after they lost Game 1 to the Blazers in the first round. The Lakers are dead. They can't guard anybody. They suck. LeBron is old. But in Game 2, LeBron came out, dropped 28 points, 11 assists, 9 rebounds. Anthony Davis had 34 and 10. And the Lakers beat the Rockets. Russell Westbrook really struggled. Always fun when that happens. He finished with 10 points on 4 and 15 shooting, 7 turnovers.
That's not
at all what you want in the playoffs. And he had a great quote after the game where he said, "I'm just running around out there."
Just running around out there.
So that series is tied back at 1. The other game yesterday was the Heat attempted to pull off the sweep of the number 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks with the soon-to-be reigning back-to-back MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo. They have not shown up this series yet, and Giannis got hurt at halftime. Or in the first half, he went out of this game, only played 11 minutes. Yet the Bucks survived, pushed it to overtime, and won 118 to 115. Chris Middleton finally showed up in a playoff game, dropped 36, 8 and 8. The series, though, no one in the NBA has ever come down from 3-0. Which is what the Bucks are trying to do. So it's most likely not going to happen, especially if Giannis is dinged up. It's really crazy how well Miami's been playing. Bam had a big game for them, 26, 8 and 12. But Jimmy Butler, where they kind of fell short, he had 17 points, but only 4 in the fourth quarter and overtime in this game combined. Only dropped 4 points.
Wow.
Really needed him down the stretch there, and they could have closed that out. But Miami will probably wrap up the series in the next game. In the NFL, we had finally big free agent signings really finished up in July. That's when most people got signed. But Jadeveon Clowney, elite pass rusher, has been holding out. He originally, at the start of free agency, he was asking for a $22 million one-year contract. And pretty quickly that dropped down to rumored at $17 million because nobody wanted him. And he finally has signed with the Tennessee Titans for a reported 1 year, $15 million.
Jeez.
I was kind of hoping my team, the Raiders, would pick him up, but that's okay. A lot of teams were going after him, but he's like in a weird position where he's a really talented guy, but he gets hurt. And like you don't know if you're going to get super awesome guy or a guy that gets hurt and doesn't really care. He's kind of been up and down.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And last thing for the NFL, the season starts in 3 days.
Does it really?
September 10th is the first game. It kicks off, Chiefs-Texans.
That's crazy. So how are they handling that COVID-wise?
It's going to be weird because it's different for all the teams because they're in different places. Like some teams, like Raiders, and a few of them have said no fans for games. Some teams said no fans, like Seahawks said no fans for the first 3 home games. But the Colts just approved they're allowed to have 2,500 fans at their home opener, the first game.
What?
So it's going to go by city, like just based on the regulations. I don't know.
So what about the players? Is there protections for them? Like there's so many people on the team.
Yeah, because they can't bubble. They're traveling. I think they're limiting the staffs they travel with, and I don't know. It'll be like baseball's been a mess with the testing. They've had teams had to like cancel games, lots of postponements. So we'll see how much of an NFL season, how impacted it is we get, hoping for the best. But they have the Vegas odds for the Super Bowl have been announced. I'm going to make our Super Bowl predictions as well so we can say that we got it right this early. But the odds, I'll let you make an informed decision here. Chiefs had the best odds. They won it last year to repeat at plus 450. Ravens are right behind them at plus 500. 49ers and Saints are each at plus 1,000. And the Buccaneers, who just got Tom Brady, are at plus 1,200. The two teams with the worst odds at plus 30 are the Jaguars and the Washington football team, no longer the Redskins.
They don't have a name?
Yeah, because they finally got rid of the name Redskins. For years, people have been wanting it out.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
When they announced they're getting rid of it and they're having a rebrand, but then they just said, we are a Washington football team for now.
That's
Until they come up with
hilarious.
something.
That's hilarious.
So now, even in Madden, like, it's just when you go home, it's just Washington football team, and they have a blank helmet.
They don't even have a mascot or anything.
They're the football team.
That's so funny. What?
But so who's your pick, Zach? What teams you go? Who's going to be playing in, I think, whenever the Super Bowl is this year? Who's going to be going?
You know, I want to pick a team that no one's expecting.
All right.
But I don't want the worst choice. So I'm going to go with...
I'll give you $100 if you can tell me the two teams that'll be in the Super Bowl right now.
You know, I'll say for your sake, I want the Raiders to be there. I
wouldn't bet real money on that, but I appreciate it. Who are they gonna play? Who's coming out of the NFC?
Patriots.
So we got the Raiders versus the Patriots. It's a weird year. Two AFC teams could end up in the Super Bowl. Maybe all the NFC teams that are good get COVID.
Okay.
It's possible.
How about the Washington
football team? All right, yeah, I like it. The football team versus the Raiders in the Super Bowl. For me, I'm going to take a more controversial pick, if you will. I'm not feeling the Chiefs to repeat because it's really hard to repeat in the NFL. The Seahawks got the closest anybody's gotten to in a while, like brutally close until Malcolm Butler picked off Russell Wilson. But I do like the Ravens at plus 500. I think they're going to be pissed about how the playoffs ended last year. I think they'll dominate in the regular season. You'll see Lamar really progress as a passer. I think he'll be primed for a run this year. And coming out of the NFC, the 49ers and Saints, I never fuck with them. I don't like them as teams, and just they never come through for you. Everyone hypes them up every year, and they fall on their face.
Boo the Vikings.
So I'm going to come at this, I guess, kind of semi-hot take. I'm feeling the Buccaneers with Brady coming in year one, firing on all cylinders. Brady's ready to prove the doubters wrong. I love Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Had them on my fantasy team together one year. That was awesome. And I think that team, they're going to get hot, and I think they're going to roll it out. Ravens versus Buccaneers, or Raiders versus football team. That is going to be your Super Bowl, according to us. All right, and Zach, what's going on? What's our President Donald up to on the Twitter?
All right, so this is as of today. We have a whole treasure chest of things to go off of.
Yeah, the Trump Twitter is a never-ending gift. Just in a day itself, you can get loads of entertainment.
All right, so he 9 hours ago bragged 10.6 million jobs created in just 4 months, a record.
I mean, yeah. I mean, what can you say? You got to give it to COVID. It's creating jobs.
You have to lose jobs to take jobs. That's a good way of looking at it. He also...
I feel like if we just didn't count the jobs that people are losing and only looked at the jobs people are gaining, we'd be only making profit.
Look
right
at the
now in terms
numbers.
of jobs.
The jobs are going up. So he also tweeted 9 hours ago, starting to get very high marks in our handling of the coronavirus. Quotation marks. China virus. Especially when compared to other countries and areas of the world. Now the vaccine are coming and fast.
See, where does he have a link to anything with those numbers giving him high marks over other countries?
No, he's only linking to, here's one 10 hours ago, a so-called peaceful protest, and then Twitter blocked the, and then another one 10 hours ago, thank you, and then Twitter blocked whatever he was sharing.
See, like, he can just say fucking whatever, that's the problem. Be like, yeah, we're getting really high mark. Everyone's saying we're actually handling it better than everyone in the world. Oh yeah, and the vaccine, it's on the way. It's like no time. It's gonna be here next week. He just says shit. It's crazy.
I just can't get over the fact that
it's like Twitter's his internal thoughts. Like he does.
Oh yeah, 100%. He just thinks it and he puts it straight on.
Like a streamline in his brain, just tweeting out what he's thinking.
Biggest and fastest financial recovery in history. Next year will be best ever unless a very sleepy person becomes president and massively raises your taxes, in which crash.
See, yeah, if we get rid of Trump, how are we going to get out of the mess he put us in?
Yeah, as he likes to say, you're not safe in Joe Biden's America with footage of Trump's America.
Yeah, with the footage of what's happening right now as he's president. That is crazy. That's a trend. Like, a bunch of his, like, supporters have been doing that, too. They, like, will tweet footage and they're like, Joe Biden's America. Like, do you not
realize
this is Trump's America still?
I'm sure we can check in another day and he'll have more outrageous things
this
to
be
say.
A recurring segment.
I mean, there's so much. He's yelling at CNN as fake news. All smart people know that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I only get my news from Fox. And that's going to do it for the Nickel and Dimes podcast.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate the support.
We'll be back next week with another podcast. Stay tuned for updates on our next short film and ones in the future.
We'll see where sports are at next week. And
yeah, we'll have more sports.
The state of movies.
More movies, more Trump Twitter. We'll have it all. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.